I remember all of the quick fix fat loss protocols. I remember my grandma having SlimFast in the cabinet, my mom doing the Atkins diet. Welcome to Cravings Control for Fat Loss. I'm your host, Laura Cavallo, former sugar binger, overeater, and yo-yo dieter turned fat loss and cravings coach for hundreds of busy women. Here at Cravings Control for Fat Loss, I'll be sharing mindset, movement, and metabolism strategies for those who are ready to ditch the fat diet cycle and slim down without counting calories, tracking points, or giving up any of the foods they love. Get ready to embrace progress over perfection, grace over guilt, and bring curiosity and learning to the inevitable ups and downs of your life. Expect a decrease in your cravings while seeing and feeling an improvement in how you look, how you feel, and your overall quality of life. I am so excited you're here, boo. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Cravings Control for Fat Loss. My name is Laura Cavallo, your cravings coach. And today I'm sharing with you 5 ways that your fad dieting mentality could be holding you back from making fat loss progress and cravings control progress. It's no secret that we grew up in an unhealthy diet culture, and we're still growing up in an unhealthy diet culture in many ways, through film, TV, and even print media showing us only slim women with the tenets that being smaller is inherently better. Around this time, when I was a teen and in my 20s, I remember all of the quick fix fat loss protocols. I remember my grandma having SlimFast in the cabinet, my mom doing the Atkins diet. I remember having the 100-calorie like Nabisco cookie packs around, the, cheese, the 50-calorie Baby Bell string cheeses around, even some of the shows that were on TV, like The Biggest Loser, were all centered around women's looks, being smaller, being thin, and being more desirable. And as a result of being in diet culture, or maybe even partaking in it yourself, as a result of this pressure, you may have done diets like WeightWatchers and Octavia or Arbonne or Whole30 and just taken them at face value as like, that's what I do, right? And what happens when we do these diets, we partake in these diets, we subscribe to the protocol, we start to believe and apply what we're doing as this is the real thing, right? And you may hold on to some of those unhealthy perspectives and approaches around diet and fat loss and your body image. For example, if you did keto, for example, like I did, you might still have fear around carbs. I have a ton of women that come to me from a keto background, and they're constantly fearing carbs. They're constantly fearing fruit. And it's a mindset that we have to dismantle and break down a little bit. The same thing with maybe Whole30, where it's like dairy-free and gluten-free. You start to fear these foods. You start to be like, well, are these healthy or are these bad? And then these approaches stick with you after the diet. And then you maybe hear something that's juxtaposing it, and then you start to get confused and then frustrated. And then you try and find the next fad diet with more rules and more restrictions and more guidelines. And so I know that I struggled a lot sort of unraveling some of these unhealthy perspectives around fat loss and body image and cravings and food and nutrition. So today I want to share 5 unhelpful mindset approaches that could be holding you back from making a sustainable long-term change, seeing results that last, or even getting started with a healthier nutrition approach to your diet, because maybe you've never even considered a more sustainable nutrient approach to your nutrition and your fat loss goals. So one way that your fad dieting mentality could be holding you back from making results is that you expect quick results, right? You expect results in 30 days or 45 days or even 60 days. Things like Whole30, Arbonne, 30-day challenge, the 21-day fix. These are all ingraining and telling us that we can fix ourselves in 21 days. You can lose weight in 30 days. You can do this in 30 days. And so it's almost priming us to believe that fat loss should come quick. It should come easily. and that will look like the people on the covers, right? And will look like people on TV and who's advertising and marketing these programs. But the truth is that it takes your body time to adapt and change to the demands that you put on it. It takes your body time to respond to fat loss demands, right? Your body is a bit resistant to change. It doesn't just do things automatically. It needs to adapt over time. So I tell my clients a minimum of 6 weeks for fat loss changes, minimum. Okay. That is if we're doing all of the foundational things well, and then up to 12, 14, 16 weeks, even if not more. But when it comes to a real lifestyle change, because it's not enough to get you to that fat loss stage, right? You then have to maintain your results. And the way that we do that, and I shared that a couple episodes ago, the absolute basics for cravings control and fat loss is the habits that get you there to that sustainable fat loss and cravings control with sleep and stress and satisfying nutrition and movement. You still have to maintain those afterwards, right? So, and that requires habit change, that requires developing new skills and new routines. I like to tell my clients to give yourself a year to really see full changes in your body in terms of body composition, where we're losing fat, we're gaining muscle. You've established a lifestyle approach to your nutrition, a lifestyle approach to your exercise. You're focusing on good sleep, good stress, and things are innate and natural. And it doesn't take a ton of mental energy. It doesn't take a ton of work. So throw it out in your head that you're going to see results with any sustainability in 30 days or 45 days or 60 days. Because underneath that, we need your habits and your behaviors to change at the root so that you can maintain those results in the long term. The second fad dieting mentality that's holding you back from progress is living in the all or nothing dieting mindset. This is really where you're either aiming for perfection and doing things perfectly as the plan or the program specifies. And if you don't, you end up self-sabotaging, throwing your hands in the air and saying, fuck it. This could even apply to your fitness routine, right? Well, I haven't worked out in 4 days, so like whatever, I'll just like start back in January. Well, if I can't work out 2 hours today and I can only do 30 minutes, well then like it doesn't matter. Like it's not going to be good enough. And so I'm just going to skip it. So when we live in this black and white, all or nothing thinking, there isn't a lot of room for progress, right? There isn't a lot of room for humanization. There isn't a lot of room for grace and compassion. There isn't a lot of room for curiosity. All of those things, it's what's going to help you stay consistent over time and actually see better results. So one way to shift this is to focus more on progress, doing things imperfectly over time versus needing everything to be perfect. And this gray area is challenging. It's scary. It's unknown. This is where we need to bring in more awareness, more understanding, more grace, more empathy, trial and error, observing how certain foods make us feel, then making adjustments, seeing how our body responds to certain exercise and making adjustments. And it requires a whole new way of approaching things. It's not going to be written on a piece of paper. It's not going to be written in a book. It's not going to come in the form of juices to drink. It's going to require you to be engaged in the process and not be on autopilot. 2024 is here, and I'm currently accepting applications for my one-on-one coaching program, The Cravings Cure. The Cravings Cure guarantees up to 10 pounds and 10 inches of fat loss in 3 months' time, while reducing your cravings by up to 70% without counting a single point, tracking a single calorie, or measuring or eliminating any of the foods that you love. If you're ready for a sustainable approach to your nutrition, you finally want to get control of your cravings, and you want a more long-term solution to your fat loss goals that you can maintain all year long, the Cravings Cure is for you. My proven Slim System strategies are made to fit with your unique lifestyle demands, your schedule, and your preferences so that it feels more intuitive, more effortless, and easier for you to apply. If this sounds like something you're ready for, or you just want to learn more about, follow the link below to hear from our past clients and see their amazing results. I cannot wait to work with you in 2024. The third way that I see the fad dieting mentality holding women back from their fat loss and cravings progress is seeing fat loss and health as something that's temporary versus a lifestyle change. And I think this goes hand in hand with some of the quick fix programs that many of us have subscribed to, is like, oh, well, I can just like lose weight in 20 days, or I can just do a Whole30 and slim down, or I can just do this like quick 7-day detox. And the reality is that those programs will probably work, right? You'll probably lose 10 pounds in 30 days with some program that promises it and is super restrictive and feels torturous and doesn't fit your lifestyle and is very extreme. But those temporary approaches are going to result in temporary solutions. So if you're fine with that, fine, totally fine. That's cool. But if you have been losing the same 10, 15, 20 pounds and gaining it back over the last 10, 15, 20 years, if you're going back to the same old diets, the same old protocols, if you are sick and tired of another diet, feeling stressed, anxious around food, and having to make these yearly choices of, okay, I'm going to do WeightWatchers again, or I'm going to do Arbonne again, and you're sick of it, then maybe it's time to start looking at things more from a lifestyle perspective. How can you improve your nutrition for the long term? How can you fit exercise into your life for the long term? How can you start to improve some of your lifestyle habits that will support better fat loss and cravings control, like sleep and stress management, for the long term? Again, if you just want to lose that 10 pounds in 30 days for an event or this, and you don't care what happens afterwards, then like go for it. But if you still find yourself stuck and frustrated and you're just getting sick of it, then it's time to start to shift your mindset towards that lifestyle change. The fourth way that fad dieting mentality has held you back is that you're ignoring the foundational basics and prerequisites for cravings control and fat loss. And I just did an episode on it a few back. And this is where we address things like sleep and consistently satisful meals and finding movement that you enjoy on a daily basis, whether it's walking or swimming or cycling, making sure that you're leading with lean and detox for your meals, making sure that you're keeping stress low. These are the absolute basics for not just fat loss and cravings control, but for a high quality of life. These foundational elements is what's going to help prime your metabolism for sustainable fat loss, to help you have an easier time controlling cravings. And a lot of these fad diets don't really give you the time or the behavior change support to address some of these things, right? Like sleep takes time to kind of try to go to bed maybe a little bit earlier, or adjust your bedroom to help optimize your sleep a little bit better. Or stress reduction, there's going to be different scenarios that trigger stress. So how are we managing all of those different stressors? How are we eating consistently satisful meals at restaurants and on vacations or at holiday parties, right? These are all things that you need to be able to work on over time and develop the skills to be successful with them. It's not something that you're just going to be able to do seamlessly and flawlessly within 30 days time. At least not many people are going to be able to. So the foundational habits are built over time by developing the skills and making small adjustments to really optimize these habits and behaviors that lay the foundation for fat loss and cravings control. And we don't really get that from our fad dieting programs. The last way that I see the fad dieting mentality holding you back from progress is there isn't a lot of awareness around habits and routines and how food makes you feel, or how exercise is affecting your body, or how sleep could be impacting cravings, or how alcohol could be affecting your productivity. With a lot of fad dieting programs, it's like you have a piece of paper, you have the rules, you have the times you're going to eat, you have what you're going to eat. There isn't a lot of they don't really ask you to be reflective, to be aware, to observe, to make adjustments. There isn't a lot of connection to your body, your mind, or what your body is communicating with you. And so this lack of awareness is really a roadblock to progress because your body is communicating with you all the time. It's telling you why you're craving, what's triggering your craving, why you might be feeling constipated, what's going on with your PMS symptoms. And so we can use that biofeedback to help us make better decisions to help us on our goals, whether it's improving sleep or improving digestion or having better fat loss results. And when you're on autopilot with some of these fat diets, and this is a behavior that many of us have picked up, is like, just tell me what to do. We lack that awareness to make appropriate change for the results that we want. So I hope that this episode was helpful in maybe just peeling back the curtain to how your thought process is around fat loss, weight loss, body image, and your approach to your health and what you're doing. And maybe you can get a little bit more critical and ask yourself, am I holding on to any of these dieting mentalities? Are any of these potentially holding me back from making progress? Am I looking for more of a temporary quick fix solution, or am I ready for a lifestyle change? Where am I at with the foundations for fat loss and cravings control? And I'll link that episode down below for you. So I take this episode to be reflective, get a little bit more critical, and ask yourself, what do you want in 2024? What are you ready for in 2024? Are you ready to make a lasting lifestyle change that's going to better support your health goals, your fat loss goals, your cravings control goals, and your overall quality of life? I hope you found this episode helpful. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. Click below and send me a DM and shoot me a message. Happy holidays, happy new year, and I'll talk to you soon.